A very warm welcome to all our viewers this afternoon to Wild Earth Life at the Watering Hole. And we're starting out at Tembe this afternoon. We've got 2 elephants and a warthog. Looks like some woolly-neck stalks off to the side. I'm going to be your host this afternoon, Jaapie Potgieter, and I'm very excited to see what will happen this afternoon. Already got 1 elephant heading into the pan. Oh wow, just look at that magnificent specimen. And a good scratch there. That elephant's got a huge pair of tusks. It looks like he was digging there a little bit, so I'm assuming that's why there's that loose mud, and this one's just following suit. But it looks like it's quite warm there today. Lots of all needed sunscreen application. Let's see, these 2 younger ones seem in quite a playful mood. Now, by the looks of it, it looks like there is a little bit of an age difference between the 2. I'd say the one at the back slightly older, but not significant enough for them not to play and push each other around. I think they agreed there that they're not going to spend too much energy on that. But let's have a look. Younger elephants follow suit when they watch the older ones. Those 2 seem slightly better matched up. But it's interesting to note the other elephant has moved off to go drink in that same spot where this one has. Joan Miller, a good Thursday to you too, from Wild Earth and from me. I'm sure it's going to be a great one. Now that elephant, not the one that came in now, but that one standing in the shade. He was just enjoying some shade, and you can see he's in a very relaxed position. And I think maybe the other one might also calm down once it's dusted itself up a little bit. Spencer, you're asking how come we never see elephant males sparring with the females? Well, that's a good question. I won't say never. I'd say it's not. I wouldn't really call it sparring as such. Sometimes, whenever there's a huge meetup of a number of elephants, and you do have males and females of similar ages, then they might push each other a little bit, especially amongst the young. But it's not really sparring. They don't really need to. The females, generally, the only times you'll see them locking tusks with male is either if they are communicating and general interest, or if they're trying to tell them in a nice way to keep their distance. But it never gets to the same level or elevated quite to a sparring session. So The females don't really need to fight. They just need to protect their young. And male elephants generally read the signs quite clearly. The female elephant can certainly show that she's upset and worried, should there be fear of the safety of the little ones. But the males, they do it so that they can test their skill, hone their strength. And also it's just what boys do. You can see there's a lot of young male elephants there. A lot of these seem within a similar age group. And I'd say it's difficult to say for me at this distance for sure, but it looks like generally they're like maybe just before early 20s. Maybe even late 20s, some of them, but not quite at that mature level. Sierra, you're asking if a herd can be too big for a matriarch to handle. That's a very good question, because in fact it can. Once again, it's not as straightforward as that. Like, it does depend on a number of things and a number of big players within the dynamics of the group. But certainly what we do see sometimes is sometimes when elephant herds become too big, they know that that will put a lot of stress on resources. Then they will split, and it's usually some of the older cows, like say a matriarch's either sister or one of her older daughters that might decide to take her immediate offspring and start splitting off and move on their own. And of course, what happens is then sometimes we see them gather when it gets very dry in areas where they can meet up, so like around watering holes, for instance.
Would you like to see the awesome sight of Africa's biggest tuskers in the shadow of ancient Mount Kilimanjaro? Or a pride of 20 lions hunting in the grasslands of the Masai Mara? Join me, James Hendry, on the unique Kenyan adventure to Amboseli and the Mara. There are only 6 places on this unforgettable safari in May 2025. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Exciting news, Wild Earth viewers! We are thrilled to announce the launch of Wild Earth on Valgevonden. To celebrate, Wild Earth Travel is offering a special discount for travelers to Valgevonden in the months of July, August and September. Don't miss out on this exclusive offer. Contact us at info@wildearth.travel today.
Get ready for a fantastic and new wildlife adventure. On Safari is going to be your favorite way to experience the wonders of the wild, starting this September. Join us every week as we wrap up the most exciting and unusual highlights from our Wild Earth locations, dive into virtual safaris, learn to track and sign, as well as get up close with nature through our microscope. From captivating animal profiles to intriguing conversations with guest naturalists, special features on birds, medicinal plants, and fascinating natural history. On Safari brings the wild to you.
It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
So mark your calendars for September and prepare to explore the wild like never before. We'll see you on Safari.
sparring partner. But I find it amazing they do this without seriously injuring each other. They get to understand each other and establish the hierarchies within these areas at a rather early age. It's usually around these times of their lives where they kind of have the freedom to do it without serious injury. And once they reach the prime stages, these contests can become quite serious and very, very hectic. Also, being very hot, I don't think they'll continue with it for too long. That's why we just see them kind of starting, and then leaving it off. And elephants, like any creature, they are very large, of course, especially a bull elephant. The African savanna bull elephant can get extremely large. But like most other mammals, you still get various size and shapes. You get very tall elephants, shorter elephants. And a bigger elephant doesn't necessarily mean the strongest, most dominant. I've watched some elephant fights where the younger, or what looks younger, but the smaller out of the elephants sometimes had the advantage even, and with slightly shorter tusks, acting a little bit more aggressively. And then of course the environmental factors and timing and a whole bunch of other factors that can play in. Even larger elephant bulls that's not in must will avoid a smaller elephant bull that's in must. Now the excitement seems over. But what a good way to start. And I'm excited to see what's happening elsewhere, so let's head over to Founders for a bit of a different scene. Oh, wow. Indeed a different scene. A different place, a different pachyderm. You can see, look, I'm saying he. I always catch myself by accident saying he, but I think it looks like a male white rhino. And you can see he's got his head down now. It looks like he's feeding. You can see that lips moving there. Moist nostrils. You can imagine from moving your lips and nose through the dust and the dirt. And very runny, moist nostrils provides good protection. Keeps The nose lubricated, keeps it clean. Very important sense for this animal. But what a view. Literally looks like he's standing on top of the edge of the world there. Beautiful clouds coming in. I saw the tail was twisted up, curled up as it approached, and then once it stopped there to feed, looks like it kind of relaxed a little bit and just focused on feeding. But let's see. This is my favorite part. I can see some notches in this animal's ear. And that would be a marking system, so man-made, but it aids in identifying the animal and also creating a DNA bank. All part of the process of their protection. But what a magnificent animal, not elephant. I can see, so this animal, the horns are dehorned, or it was dehorned at some stage. And it grows back rather quickly. One would be surprised within a year it would grow back sufficiently, depending on the environmental factors, but to be trimmed again. You can see its tail curling back up there, so it's probably concentrating on either a scent or picked up on a good patch of grass to feed on. Tino, you're asking if I were a tourism minister, what law would I have to make, or would I make to protect rhinos? Sure. I don't really think that falls under the jurisdiction of the tourism minister. But from a tourism point of view, I would probably... I don't know. That's a good question. I guess I've never thought about it in terms of actually being able to have such a big say within the matter. But it is a tricky one. I think it's also something that's not that easily the law in regards to this can't just be applied that easily. I think there's lots of various different factors and laws and policies that will play in on it, and that will have effects. So yeah, would be difficult to answer. But I'll definitely have a bit of a think about it. Well, looks like this white rhino has moved off, and hopefully can get to feed quite a bit with this cooler weather there, but we're going to head over to Rosie's pan. Where we have elephants of all kinds. It's quite interesting to see. We saw looking at that rhino just now.
Are you ready to turn your travel dreams into a reality? Wild Earth Travel is here to make that happen. Africa is full of exciting adventures and stunning wildlife. If you want to meet the Wild Earth crew and animal characters while enjoying a 5-star safari, we can make it happen. Contact us today on info@wildearth.travel or visit our website, and let's turn your African dreams into a reality.
We have some exciting news. To celebrate our new safari location, Mabula Private Game Reserve, Wild Earth Travel is offering an exclusive special offer for our viewers only. Book a stay for 4 nights or more at any of the lodges on Mabula Private Game Reserve and enjoy an extra night absolutely free. Don't miss this limited time offer. Contact Wild Earth Travel today to claim your discount. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive. Join the Wild Earth Explorers program and connect with a community passionate about wildlife. Support our mission to share authentic wildlife experiences with the world. Your monthly contribution helps provide schools and children access to kids' safaris, fostering a love for nature in the next generation. Embrace the wonders of the bush and make a difference today. Wild Earth, connecting with nature.
For over 10 years, we have been devoted to tracking and protecting endangered mammals in South Africa. But we can't do this alone. We need your help. Join our Art for Conservation worldwide online auction, showcasing work from incredible wildlife artists. Your winning bid contributes directly to the protection of these mammals. For more, visit theboucherlegacy.co.za.
Marula start fruiting only around December, November, December. But it's only really ready depending on where you are, because the Southern African lowveld is quite a large area, and it does vary a little bit from the north to the south, but generally around end of January and February, that's when they are ripe. And then occasionally you'll get a few later ones, sometimes into March, and that's especially when we get to see them wait under trees during the middle of the day. And in fact, when most of the trees are fruiting and got ripe fruit, we find that the elephants literally move from one marula area to the next. And that's when we also see them moving past the crests. Sometimes marula trees grow up on the crests. And this area is not really mountainous, but it does have its little hills and crests and valleys. Not exactly what it is, but whatever it is, it looks like they've got something that's interested in there. I can see there's some green leaves in that spot, and it might just be they're feeding off something, but I can see there's a young one in between there, and that looks like a female. I'm not 100% sure what it is that they're feeding on. Oh, or if they're feeding at all. I don't think they were feeding at all. I think it was a bit of mud. And here's another elephant wading into the water. Oh, clearly his attention's been drawn by something else, but I find this quite interesting to see him walk right on the water's edge. You see what the others are doing. He was about to get into the water and then probably heard or sniffed. And so there's a couple just down here. So this would be interesting to see whether he's going down or not. You can see how much lower those elephants are. By the looks of it, he was definitely considering it. You can see he's leaning on his front leg, so it's his back leg, his back right leg. It's just taking a rest. That means he's weighing up his options. Here we go. Front leg out. I guess part of the benefit of being such a tall animal is that you get a clear view of a certain thing, but it also provides you a very high view from there. And for an elephant going up like this one, it's just come up now, all those longer front legs is generally a bit more comfortable in moving down. Very big, very heavy head. And I don't think that the elephant would have gone down there. I think it was maybe just a little bit too steep. Having said that, if it was necessary for it to go down there, absolutely, maybe things might have been different, but in this case he had options. Interesting, this elephant's just cooling its head off, throwing on the rest of the body. I can see both these elephants have some good clay soil on its back. It's that reddish color. Once again, we can see it's targeting all the vital spots, the areas that they know will help them to cool down a little bit. Oh, there we go. What a clever elephant. I was wondering if it could move around that way, but we saw it kind of went down at an angle along the same spot as this elephant came up. Didn't go straight down the built edge of the pan that side. That's another thing about elephants is, and that's something I have thought about and witnessed quite a lot. It's very interesting to watch where you get to certain areas and elephants just, they go anywhere. They move up to the craziest spots, most rugged mountainous terrain, to go search for water and food. And there's certain areas that they certainly, where they certainly have a very, very unique way of getting up, and they form these little pathways. Some areas you find these ancient elephant pathways running all the way up very steep hills, and they do it in these zigzag forms. Nina Brown, you're asking, how do I stop guests from being scared of the large animals like elephants, rhinos, giraffes, lions, and other cats when they come on first time safari? Well, I guess it's a combination of making them feel comfortable and also instilling confidence in them. So making sure that whatever you say, whatever you do, shows respect to not only them but also the animals. Because at the end of the day, the animals also, well, they can get scared of us as well. So we try to consider all parties in any situation. And then, of course, you'll gradually talk them through and tell them what to do. And I guess I would also not just go straight in there, like drive straight up to an elephant right next to the vehicle. Like first you'll gauge the levels of understanding and levels of comfort of guests, and then gradually you might try and push their comfort zones a little bit. With pushing, I don't taking chances at all. There's still a definite, let's say, distance. I don't want to put any distance or specific measurement to it, but there's certainly a level of understanding, and if you are experienced enough, then you would know that where that zone or that space is, that the animal feels comfortable with us being near it. At a certain point, you're not going to move any closer. You don't want to entice the animal. They're also just going about their business. They don't want to bother you, and therefore you should never bother them. And generally, I feel personally that at a point where to where the animals are minding their own business, that's usually a safe and comfortable distance for everybody. But having said that, we are going to leave Rosie's pan as the elephants did, and we're going to head over to Founders. Where we have another view of the rhino. Or of a rhino, I wanted to say. Doesn't look like the same rhino, and then this little one came up. Now, I've seen some different animals around this band. And these two, this is the only, what I'm assuming is a mother with an offspring that I've seen. Oh, what a beautiful view. Look at that. You can see she's lifting her lip up. She's testing the air there. Now, it might be maybe that other male that we had earlier left quite a clear sign for her to pick up. You can see the little one coming in closer, just coming inspecting what mother was doing. Now also sniffing the area. You can see she's just sniffing the ground, so I'm assuming she is just investigating. What was happening there? You can see there she's sniffing that rock. Interesting that she's doing that. That rock always seems to just be standing out there covered in mud and dust, and I always talk about it but never see any action around it. And you can see
7 nights on safari during the magnificent green season. The rains have stopped, the land is emerald, and there are wild babies everywhere. Meet your favorite presenters.
This is amazing.
And create unforgettable memories on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure.
Thank you for coming along on this little adventure.
The Green Season Grand Tour, only with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Get ready for a fantastic and new wildlife adventure. On safari is going to be your favorite way to experience the wonders of the wild, starting this September. Join us every week as we wrap up the most exciting and unusual highlights from our Wild Earth locations, dive into virtual safaris, learn to track and sign, as well as get up close with nature through our microscope. From captivating animal profiles to intriguing conversations with guest naturalists, special features on birds, medicinal plants, and fascinating natural history. On Safari brings the wild to you.
It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
So mark your calendars for September and prepare to explore the wild like never before. We'll see you on Safari.
Every guide in Africa has been on an endless quest for the ultimate bush way. Until now. Rugged Wear has a huge range of amazing bush gear for every wild situation. In the midday heat, those chilly winter mornings, in the storms of summer. Rugged Wear has the bush kit for every wild occasion. Locally made in South Africa, crafted with precision, stitched with quality.
serving the function there of just holding on to its ride for a bit while the other two were taking a bath. And it seems like one adult and a younger one. It's possibly a small family group. You can see, no, he's flown up to the back leg, right in the folds, which is the most likely place for the ticks to sit. In the folds, we can see this animal, if we look at these white marks around the face, on the shoulder, down the side, and a very clear white stripe in the upper side up towards the rump. And that's all indications that this animal has scratched itself, probably rubbed itself up. It looks quite smooth. The whiter marks around the face, also scratching on posts, on the mother's horn sometimes. You can see like it's doing right there. Just look at that, getting in that space behind the eye, above the eye, down towards the side of the horn. Those are the areas it's harder to reach. You can see under the neck. There we go, shoulder. And he's really putting the effort in there. You can see it's not like a enjoyable or a scratch that he's ecstatic about. He's just scratching it, moving, pressing up hard against the rock. So as he does that, all the ticks that would sit out in the open, of course, would be rubbed off. And its skin being as tough as it is, can easily handle that. But of course, it doesn't remove all the ticks. Those very prominent folds, often ticks will line up in those folds. Oh, oh, that is amazing. Oh, that was such a unbelievable, relaxing and nice sighting. And then the little one and the mother was a bit preoccupied, didn't notice the sable coming up. How incredible is that? 3 sable antelope. You can see the little ones back at it once they realized what it was. Oh, okay, it's only sable. It just goes to show with these large animals, sometimes they, being that large, they also create a lot of noise, and the proximity of their ears to their own body, of course, it's excellent, but they still, when they're moving about, it's like us when we talk or when we eat. Our sense of hearing isn't always at its best or at its most focused. And I guess that's probably what happened there. Nina Brown, you're saying the unicorns of the bush, both sable and white rhino. Yes, indeed. Well, the sable is a extremely special and rare animal to see in South Africa, so this is a very wonderful little treat for me. I think they're amazing. Not just their horns, but their colors, the interesting shapes. And almost literally the definition, the very definition of the horse antelopes. One of the common ways to refer to this general group of larger antelopes is the horse antelopes. Just look at those incredible horns. Very reason for their English name. Unbelievable antelope. You can see it looks like only one dominant bull there, which is that big one that drank in front. That's interesting. I think the English name, because of those saber-like horns, it's quite descriptive, kind of like the Afrikaans name, which translates directly to something like black white belly. You can see with the younger ones, generally, well, that one there at the back, the horns are much smaller, but the younger and the females are generally more browner as well. That is a very, very special little surprise for this afternoon. And this one's still checking into the water. I wonder what it was. And it's noticed there. You can see the ears are facing forward, so it is quite... Well, it's got a little bit of focus at the very least. Oh, there we go. There's some zebra coming up. Yo, just look at that. That is incredible. I didn't realize that. There's a younger one by that very large bull. Now, I'm assuming that oh, that is amazing. What a pleasant meet-up. Now, I have seen in the past where sometimes younger calves do, out of curiosity, interact a little bit with bulls, with some of the larger bulls. Even if it's a subordinate bull on occasions, just out of curiosity and out of respect. Have a look, that one's actually scratching its face up against that animal's horn. This is beautiful. What a sight indeed. You see, that one's just laying down, enjoying that cool mud. Head down. Still nostrils up, of course. And here we go, a bit of a kick, and by the looks of it, he's already rolled around earlier. And looks like the little one's wandered over to the other one, the other rhino. Inga, you're asking what age do sables start to get dark in color with? I don't actually know, to be honest. I would assume it would probably be roughly after about a year, maybe to a year and a half, I'd say, somewhere. If I would have to take a guess, and that would just be from a general assumption about certain antelopes. This is so spectacular to see. The zebras are coming in to come and have a look. Now the rhinos moved off so the zebras can drink. But this is quite special to see. That was a beautiful interaction there. And it does happen around watering holes, especially if it's rhino that, and I'm sure these do, that spend time together in the same area. They know of each other, they know where they stand with each other. Clearly to the point where even that little one doesn't mind. So you can go scratch up against the others.
Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Wild Earth Travel's newsletter is your passport to a magical journey. Explore exclusive travel options featuring special offers at stunning Wild Earth locations and all hosted by your favorite presenters. Don't miss out. Head over to our website and subscribe to the Wild Earth Travel newsletter today and stay in the know on all our unforgettable adventures. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive. Chatting around a fire is an ancient practice that has connected humanity for centuries, and we want to keep it alive in our modern age. As an explorer, you'll have access to intimate gatherings with our naturalists, fascinating guests, and experts where we share knowledge, insights, and stories around a crackling fire. Rediscover the power of connection. Sign up to be an explorer today and experience the magic of Wild Earth's fireside chats.
For over 10 years, we have been devoted to tracking and protecting endangered mammals in South Africa. But we can't do this alone. We need your help. Join our Art for Conservation worldwide online auction, showcasing work from incredible wildlife artists. Your winning bid contributes directly to the protection of these mammals. For more, visit theboucherlegacy.co.za.
Larger rhino bulls will maintain the order that way. It looks like we experienced a bit of a technical issue there that found us, so now we are at Okukuyu. So here, from here I can see what seems to be a blacksmith lapwing and some springbok in the water. And it always seems so extremely dry here. And it is a very arid area. And it's hard to think that in a few weeks' time this would all be covered with some bright green grass. And actually I had a look the other day, had a good view of some of those rocks there in the back. And if I'm not mistaken, this pan sits near the edge of a change in habitat. And where the pan is situated, those rocks are kind of remnants of its geological past, of a limestone layer. It was over this area. Eventually and gradually eroding. But quite a bit of clay in some of the soil, so it holds water quite well for a long period of time. A little bit more salty than usual, so it'll definitely, these animals are quite adapted to deal with the higher salt content or saline levels within the water, within the plants. Even the plants in this region, lots of succulents, as they know, plants that manage their water reserves quite well. Of course, some very robust trees. You can still see a lot of the dead trees on the other side. Interesting, it looks like, or at least from where I'm sitting, that was where it was mostly found on this pan. But with not too much going on here now, and we might come back later, but let's head over to Victoria Falls. And here we have a wallowing warthog. It somehow still seems nervous. Just almost like I saw a little bit of jerk there every now and again. I'm assuming it's enjoying it so much but also thinking of moving out. They have some marabou stalks in the background, certainly focused on something in particular there. Ooh, and another one has come in, and another one. You can see this one's pulls open. Okay, it did fly, or it looked like it flew up until there, but usually an indication that it's just look at that warthog. You can see slightly suspicious of the marabou stalk, but I would be too. Oh, there we go. I guess now it knows there's enough birds around. So time for a quick roll and then go. Now I can see from the size of that spot there, that looks to me like it is a proper warthog wallow. There's another one there on the other side. Oh, and another one, and another one. That's quite nice. Maybe that's why he got up. Excuse me. Some guinea fowl running through. It seems like it's really, really relaxed here. Lots of large birds around, and then of course the warthog, which has also gone down in the mud on the other side. I would like to have a good look of that egret over there. It looks like it's a nice standing on. They always seem to find the one green spot. But by the looks of it, if I'm not mistaken, that is a great egret. Ooh, that marabou's caught something. Don't know what that was, but it looks quite large. It just made a kill there. Or a catch, rather, and while the warthogs in front couldn't care less. They just utilizing... Yes, indeed, it does look like a great egret. Ooh, and it spotted something. Let's see. Maybe we'll have luck here with another catch. Just look at that extremely intense stare. Remaining very calm. And focused. It's got that very slender, very sharp, spear-like bill, which it can see clearly down right to the tip, so it's got excellent binocular vision, and also a very good judge of distance, or judgment of distance. Around the reeds, usually on the edges of the pans like that, you'll find other little things, little fish hiding, frogs.
Get ready for a fantastic and new wildlife adventure. On safari is going to be your favorite way to experience the wonders of the wild, starting this September. Join us every week as we wrap up the most exciting and unusual highlights from our Wild Earth locations, dive into virtual safaris, learn to track and sign, as well as get up close with nature through our microscope. From captivating animal profiles to intriguing conversations with guest naturalists, special features on birds, medicinal plants, and fascinating natural history. On Safari brings the wild to you.
It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
So mark your calendars for September and prepare to explore the wild like never before. We'll see you on Safari.
Oh, look! 100% mtanam. Can you give me the spoon, please? How good are you with numbers?
Very good.
100%.
Gogo, look! Yeah.
Hundreds, my boy.
Gogo, it's hundreds.
Yes.
It's always hundreds with 100% pure sunfoil.
Such a good example of how well warthogs are adapted. And warthogs, especially in areas where there's a lot of larger predators, they tend to not be that active during the night, unlike the bush pig. They've adapted in being able to help regulate their body temperature through the use of moisture, mud, and then also the way they eat. You can see they're shoveling through the ground there. And the one there on the left's even down on what is technically its wrists. Let's just call it front knees for now. And they are moving over the topsoil. And of course, grabbing whatever they can, small roots of whatever grass is still left in this area. And they use that flat, very hard and strong nose and the very strong neck muscles to do that. And that way they can access food unavailable to some of the antelopes, for instance. Now they're all going in tow here. Whatever it is, it must be concentrated in that region. Good job. Very good to have a check in to see what's happening here at Victoria Falls. And I think from here we're gonna head over to Taos, see what's happening there this afternoon. Aha, and here we have a very clear and good view of the crocodile. Perfect conditions. Looks like a slight breeze going there, but by the looks of it, it looks nice and hot there today, so this croc is just basking a bit. A nice view of the different scales especially along the tail, we can start to see that ridge forming, not far from the hind legs, and then slightly but surely it starts to rise, and then up at the end where the tail tip becomes this very flat rudder-like steer. Extremely well adapted. Nina Brown, you're asking if we see crocs more in certain seasons. Yes, we do actually. It depends on the area in terms of their actual visibility. From what we see, so certain areas with only a limited amount of surface water that's deep enough, we will see crocodiles gathering there during the dry season, or potentially gathering there during dry seasons, where they move to larger spots. The pressure becomes on. Male crocs are territorial, so the smaller the water sources become, the more difficult it would be for other younger males to fit in. So yeah, we do. I guess depends also on the breeding season, but it certainly depends on how much we see them, what the terrain's like. Usually with rivers where we have the banks, the clear banks, we can see them out resting in different sections along there. Otherwise we'll see them huddled together, but I'd say it's usually easier to spot them in the drier season. Oh, and look at that. You can see an elephant moving in the reflection. But talking about the green season, I want to remind our viewers of the Green Season Grand Tour that'll be hosted by James Henry, and it'll be next year, April and May. So April and May in 2025, and it'll be for 8 people, but there's only 2 spots left. So you would have to jump, only 2 spots left, and it's got very unique and exciting things that'll be happening on the tour. We'll get to meet some of the current and some of the old Wild Earth presenters. There'll be a rhino collaring featured, which is a chance to get actively engaged in hands-on conservation experience. And then there will be a workshop with a 2 Wild Film School. And of course you'll have James as your private guide throughout this whole experience. And I'm wondering where the other croc is. I've been seeing these crocodiles together quite a bit lately. What an incredible creature. Oh, and look at that. Crocodile and a very big elephant in one shot. Usually they come this far to come and eat some of this green grass, but I can clearly see that this guy is looking for some mud. That's quite a deep spot. Oh, but that looks like so much fun. I really hope that he'll lay down completely. You can see it's very large clumps of mud. And he grabs at some points. And that skin of his just soaking it up. That must be elephant heaven currently. Oh, and there's more elephants. This is just spectacular. A very nice active spot this. I find it interesting to see this elephant's left tusk is broken, and if I'm not mistaken, the other elephant's left tusk is also broken. You can see it looks like two nice large bulls. They're very familiar with each other. So just going about. And like this time. Here I can see there's a decent amount of elephants in the back as well. It's moving away. And it looks like there's some younger ones there, so maybe a herd that was here as well. And I was just thinking with this one closer to the camera, feeding off the screen material, I was just thinking, I guess with a herd the females could potentially take the little ones to one of these islands to feed, but I think, I'm not sure exactly what it is that grows there, but I think also judging from how deep it is, I think it would be quite risky for a little one. Of course, I don't think any of that would happen while these two are feeding here. It's so funny, that elephant at the back, his tail tip is in the mud. And I was thinking just now, I thought it's bubbles coming up. I saw it's just the tip of a tail trying to break the mud every now and again. Oh, there we go. I was really hoping for this. I thought that spot is just too nice and deep for him to pass up that opportunity. It does look very hot there. You can see those elephants at the back slowly moving away. Probably also taking the time when crossing that gap there.
Join Wild Earth presenter Amy Krantz for an unforgettable 5-night adventure at Mabula Private Game Reserve. This exclusive tour offers unique safaris, a magical hot air balloon ride, and the rare opportunity to participate in a rhino darting mission. If you want to make lifelong friends and memories, then this one's for you. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
We understand that not everybody has got spare pennies to rub together at the end of the month. We're introducing an initiative called Gift an Explorer.
So that those with lots of pennies can gift a Wild Earth Explorer access to those with fewer.
We're aiming for 250 gifts, but the more the merrier.
You can nominate a recipient or keep it anonymous.
It's a great way to share the Wild Earth mission with other nature lovers around the world.
For over 10 years, we have been devoted to tracking and protecting endangered mammals in South Africa. But we can't do this alone. We need your help. Join our Art for Conservation worldwide online auction, showcasing work from incredible wildlife artists. Your winning bid contributes directly to the protection of these mammals. For more, visit theboucherlegacy.co.za.
That tray maintain the beauty of its skin, and that's definitely one way of how an elephant acquire its hue. See the crocodile's moving on the left hand side. It looks like it's just turned around, possibly just to have a better eye on these two elephants. Well, not trying to draw too much attention. Yeah, I see that the elephant is, okay, I mean, it looks like it's standing pretty comfortably, but I see the one leg seems like it is up, so there's definitely some good resistance in that deep mud. This is such a spectacular sight. And you can see how they both, when they're going down for the ground, for the grass. I saw the one at the back there was almost putting his whole mouth on the grass, where this one's just using his trunk very effectively to wrap around and then grip and pull out. Brett, you're asking if the croc would try to get the elephant. I wouldn't say no. I don't know. In this case, I highly doubt. Well, that crocodile's disappearing into the deep mud there. Just goes to show how deep those channels can be. But I don't think that croc would go after these elephants. I mean, I'm not sure, but I don't think so. I just think these elephants are a little bit too large and it would be a little bit unnecessary. But having said that, it's not completely unheard of. There are crocodiles that go after elephants' trunks in some regions. Granted, they're big enough. And that might just be some learned behavior just to maintain like some sort of an understanding. But an elephant can certainly pose a serious risk to a crocodile. Well, let's see, it looks like that one might go out. Amazing how quickly that mud starts to dry out on the elephant. Can't imagine that it would have all that amount of mud. He's still making sure that he covers all the areas before he completely leaves. And there he goes. Waterbuck and zebra there in the background. I'm just checking out. Let's see what's he gonna do now. Might just be waiting for his mate to come out. And there he goes. I wonder how long it will take for this other one to get out and follow. If he's going to follow at all. He's also well covered in mud, so he definitely did so at the start before feeding, so maybe might just have a different idea of what he wants to do. Looks like there's some wildebeest laying down in the background, and then we have the spurwing goose. And it looks like it's feeding on something good there. And it's interesting to see the elephant move far away from where he was feeding and wallowing to go have a drink. I did stop there at that muddy section that he's standing on, which seemed to have been maybe from other elephants. It's moved in there, had a taste, moved on to the water that's part of the larger pool. And it still didn't seem like he's too happy with the quality. And there's more elephants. There we go. Those ones look like a herd with some very young ones. Quite interesting, they're all facing one way, laying down. Certainly an animal that can endure the midday African heat. In an open spot, and of course with the breeze blowing straight onto them. They don't have to face that side, they can smell whatever approaches from that side. You can see quite a few elephant around here. There's also some zebra that side. But it's interesting to note that the herd's stopping there, and I'm wondering why. It looks like they're just standing. Not sure if they're waiting maybe for another member. Or maybe the breeze is providing with a nice spot to cool down there. There's elephants all over in the background. It's pretty incredible. Such a large animal just kind of disappears and appears from a background like that. That spurring goose really got its head right down in there. I wonder what it would be going after down there. It clearly looks like it's feeding on something. It's very, very busy here this afternoon. Busy with life, but still very relaxed atmosphere. I think maybe just the fact that it started with the crocodile laying out on the bank and those wildebeest just laying out in the open there. And that bush, it's probably, well, it's definitely still hanging in there. You can see all those white peeled branches, but I'm pretty sure that it is awaiting the rain season with all kinds of eagerness.
Experience an ultimate 8-night safari adventure with Wild Earth's presenter Cedric Dold at Valgevonden Game Reserve. While staying at 2 luxury lodges, you will have the chance to explore this magnificent reserve along with a once-in-a-lifetime rhino notching experience. Only 8 seats available. You can't miss this one. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Get ready for a fantastic and new wildlife adventure. On Safari is going to be your favorite way to experience the wonders of the wild, starting this September. Join us every week as we wrap up the most exciting and unusual highlights from our Wild Earth locations, dive into virtual safaris, learn to track and sign, as well as get up close with nature through our microscope. From captivating animal profiles to intriguing conversations with guest naturalists, special features on birds, medicinal plants, and fascinating natural history, On Safari brings the wild to you.
It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
So mark your calendars for September and prepare to explore the wild like never before. We'll see you on Safari.
Every guide in Africa has been on an endless quest for the ultimate bush wear. Until now, Rugged Wear has a huge range of amazing bush gear for every wild situation. In the midday heat, those chilly winter mornings, in the storms of summer. Rugged Wear has the bush kit for every wild occasion. Locally made in South Africa, crafted with precision, stitched with quality.
Markings, these stripes running down its neck onto the shoulders and halfway down the flanks. Maybe those differences in color and the markings does aid a little bit in the way they cool down. And then of course they've got the excellent sense of smell, hearing, so they can spend time in the open, facing away from the sun if they have to. They groom each requirements. Some of these antelopes have adapted in a way that they don't need that much water. Out in the drier regions, they've adapted their diet so they get more moisture from their diets, they get more moisture from the type of food they eat. And then of course they also utilize shade wherever it's possible. What do we have here? It's a crocodile moving. Another interesting animal, especially for adapting to not having any shade. Well, I guess that's the way it gets its shade when it gets too hot. Even the crocodile can get too hot. Being a reptile, uses the environment to regulate its body temperature, and that means when it's hot it'll be out in the sun until it gets too hot, and it'll cool down through going back into the water. So it uses aids, natural elemental aids. That's why we see crocs out in the sun sometimes, especially late morning. At night time they move in the water, which is interesting because the water keeps from being basked all day in the warm sun. The water maintains that latent heat which will be utilized by the crocodile later on. Yeah, antelopes use their markings, reflective markings. They use the environment, like specific slopes, specific open patches, a good gap where the wind gets channeled through. And then of course others like the elephants, the rhino, they wallow, use mud, moisture, and have high water requirements, of course. And let's see, crocodile, it's hot there. It's already had a good bask, so now it's just moving out the broadest part, it's back out of the water, so that will halfway warm it up, but also not overheated, so quite a comfortable position to be in, I guess. Well, that thing is so well hidden. I really have to look for it. And the other one's also moving. So it's the first time I've seen the other one today. It's coming right behind the island, just behind where that crocodile was laying. I want to see if it's coming over this side. A good distance to wait and check situation out first. See what the mood is. I wonder if it knew that this croc was there, and just as it spotted it, decided to remain calm and check it out. And just see the eye open there. And it's amazing, you can see even with that grass on top of that croc. And they are well hidden, they are well hidden. So this croc might be slightly larger, or it doesn't seem to mind the other one too much. It's a nice way to demonstrate how an elephant's presence in the air. Oh, and there is a third one. Okay, so I didn't see the third one. And that brings in a different element. Should be a very slow but interesting situation evolving here. I think let's have this lay a little bit and develop more, and in the meantime we're going to head over to King's Camp. Oof. Indeed, what a good view to have. Perfect timing there. To have these brilliant views of the elephants. Very wet elephants coming right out of the water. You can see that they're also experiencing a very, very hot day. Oh, but now they're moving quite quickly. Very determinedly. Wonder why that would be. I mean, with the elephants coming down, especially in popular watering holes, there's always the chance of either running into another herd or wanting to avoid to run into another herd. It looks like they got a worthwhile spot to stop at. It's a herd with some very interesting herd dynamics. I haven't seen any tiny babies there, which is actually quite unusual for an elephant herd in this region. Which means that this herd will be able to move quite quickly. And very strategically. But as they're playing a bit of hide and seek with us behind the bush there, we're going to head over back to Tower to see if there's anything that's happened with the crocodiles. Not too much, except one's disappeared. But we know that it's there. Or at least it must be. I think it's just moved under the water there. Now this is the interesting thing about these creatures. When they do have muscles that contract, close their nostrils, and they've also got a flap of skin that closes up the throat, and then they have an eyelid that kind of acts the same as a goggle under the water. But if they remain like that and they remain quiet, they can stay under the water for a very, very long time. This croc in the front's moving a bit, but I think it almost looked for a moment like it was tilting its head as they do sometimes to pick something up next to them or bite at something close to them. It just looks like it was repositioning. Now there's the other crocodile. He actually moved a bit back, so let's see. What is he doing? The crocs are very interesting creatures. That croc does look quite large. They do have they're actually quite intelligent, or more intelligent than people often give them credit for, and they do have quite a clear system of communicating between each other. Generally in the croc world, like in a lot of other things, the bigger the badder. And the bigger animal has the right of way. And they do use displays such as raising themselves up or even just moving out of the water completely to show their size. And that would be an indication to either a younger crocodile or an unwanted visitor, so that they know how big they are. Now, by the looks of it, that croc looks a little smaller, and maybe initially his plan was to come over to the one on the bank. And then notice the other one on the side against it, because this one doesn't seem bother at all. And there's a dragonfly. And it looks like a dragonfly has landed right on top of the crocodile. Milo, you're asking what a fight between crocodiles would look like. It's actually quite crazy. I've seen two. I've seen territorial fights. I've seen what I'm assuming was the start of a mating ritual, which was more of a one trying to deter the other one. But usually they go for the head or the area around the neck, try and hold each other off, or they try and bite at the tail or the foot. Sometimes they might grab, in a frenzy, they might grab part of another crocodile near them, but not really intentional. And then it usually goes with a lot of noises, loud growls and a very deep growling noise that some of the males make, especially the bigger males. You'll be surprised at the noises they make. But yeah, I know some of those like fights where the larger males chases off younger ones, they might even just hold them for a very, very long time around the neck or the head, and you think, oh, that crocodile's done for, and then the next thing it'll rip itself loose and off it moves. The fights are short and intense. The bodies can be quite vulnerable to overexhaustion, and it doesn't deal well with the build-up of lactic acid, so too much movement too quickly can make a reptile build up lactic acid very quickly, and yeah, could risk them potentially even dying. So the fights are usually very short-lived, and generally that's where the bigger the better. But it can be quite intense. Usually it's just one chasing the other into the water, into the deeper water. But that was very, very exciting for croc action. I guess besides the fact that most of us know how capable they are of dragging down bigger prey under the water, but it's a very rare sight indeed, and yeah, due to that, we don't really see too much other action. So when we do see a bit of interaction like that, we get a little bit of a glimpse into their social lives. They are quite social creatures, actually, interestingly enough. There's some zebra standing out in the open, and this elephant bull still in the same spot. So is the herd, which seem to have grown. This is a very interesting situation here. One that seems like they might start to move. But I found it curious that those elephants spent so much time there in that dip. And judging from everybody gathered together, I'm sure that was like a meeting point. And also a bit of a rest for the little ones. But what a sight here at Matikwe. It's going to be interesting to see how the water levels will change over the next few days. And this elephant mudding himself very nicely there. He might also move, but what a spectacular afternoon it's been. It's been filled with lots of elephant action, crocodile action, some sable and white rhinoceros. So it's been an amazing afternoon, and I'd like to thank all our viewers for joining me this afternoon. And I really hope that you stay on for the sunset safari as well. But until next time, I'm saying goodbye from all of us here at Wild Earth.
Well, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Amy, and this is the show where we look at the highlights over the most recent safari drives. This is On Safari. Well, like I said, we are looking forward to seeing some of the highlights over sort of yesterday and today. And Panda's with me in the tent this afternoon. We're looking forward to unpacking these highlights, chatting a little bit about them along the way. And of course, chatting means we'd love to hear from you as well. So please do send through your comments and questions to us. This is a live and interactive show. And I'm sure as many of you know, but perhaps for those of you that don't, you can do that